In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro discusses the death of OJ Simpson at the age of 76. He delves into the controversial legacy of OJ Simpson, highlighting his infamous murder trial and the impact it had on American society. Shapiro begins by recounting the details of OJ Simpson's murder trial, where he was accused of brutally murdering his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson, and Ron Goldman. The evidence against Simpson was overwhelming, with blood drops, bloody shoe prints, and genetic markers linking him to the crime scene. Despite the clear evidence of his guilt, Simpson was acquitted by a jury that many believed was politically motivated. Shapiro explores how the O.J. Simpson trial widened the racial gap in America, revealing deep-seated issues of racism and inequality. The trial became a symbol of the failure to achieve equal justice for all, as Simpson, a black man, was acquitted in a case that many saw as racially charged. The verdict exposed the underlying tensions and divisions in American society, challenging the notion of progress towards racial reconciliation. Shapiro highlights the controversial defense strategy employed by O.J. Simpson's legal team, led by Johnnie Cochran. The infamous "if it doesn't fit, you must acquit" argument centered around the ill-fitting glove found at the crime scene, despite overwhelming evidence linking Simpson to the murders. The defense capitalized on racial tensions and exploited doubts about the integrity of the legal system to secure Simpson's acquittal. Shapiro discusses the pivotal role of Mark Fuhrman, a key witness in the O.J. Simpson trial, whose racist remarks were exposed during the proceedings. Fuhrman's credibility was called into question, leading to doubts about the integrity of the evidence presented against Simpson. The revelation of Fuhrman's bigotry further fueled the racial dynamics of the case and raised concerns about the fairness of the trial. Shapiro reflects on the aftermath of the O.J. Simpson verdict, highlighting the lasting impact on American society. The trial exposed deep divisions and unresolved issues of race, justice, and accountability, leaving a legacy of mistrust and controversy. Simpson's acquittal remains a contentious chapter in American history, symbolizing the complexities of race relations and the challenges of achieving true equality under the law. Shapiro also discusses the current state of Joe Biden's presidency and his flagging campaign. He notes that Biden's approval ratings have been fluctuating, with recent polls showing a close race between Biden and Trump. The economy under Biden is facing challenges, with inflation rates rising and mortgage rates reaching nearly 7%. This economic instability is impacting Biden's popularity and could pose a threat to his re-election prospects. Roy Teixeira, a commentator on the left, suggests that Democrats need to move to the center on cultural issues, promote an abundance agenda, and embrace patriotism and liberal nationalism to win elections. However, Shapiro points out that Biden's radical stance on social issues and the stagnating economy are hindering his ability to appeal to voters, particularly minorities. The high inflation rates and rising consumer prices are negatively impacting the lived experience of voters, leading to a perception of a struggling economy under Biden's leadership. The conversation then shifts to the economic performance of the United States under the presidencies of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Shapiro highlights the fact that median household income increased by 10.5% under Trump before the pandemic. However, under Biden, inflation has eroded these gains, leading to a 2.7% decrease in real median household income. Shapiro points out that despite a strong labor market, price hikes have outpaced wage growth, resulting in a stagnant or mildly negative change in household median income adjusted for inflation during Biden's first 3 years in office. Shapiro discusses the Democratic response to rising inflation and economic concerns. He criticizes figures like Whoopi Goldberg for downplaying the impact of inflation on Americans, attributing it to a lack of understanding of economics. Shapiro argues that Biden's excessive spending and focus on government sector jobs have contributed to the economic challenges faced by the country. He highlights the disconnect between Democratic narratives and the lived experiences of Americans grappling with rising grocery prices and overall inflation. The podcast delves into the challenges faced by the Biden administration, particularly in the realm of foreign policy. Shapiro criticizes Biden's handling of the situation in Ukraine, pointing out the lack of a coherent strategy and the failure to deter Russian aggression effectively. He highlights the discombobulated policy towards Ukraine and Israel, where Biden's approach has been perceived as weak and ineffective. The looming threat of Iran launching direct attacks on Israel further underscores the administration's foreign policy challenges. The podcast also touches on the internal divisions within the Republican caucus, particularly regarding the renewal of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA. Shapiro explains the debate over proposed changes to FISA warrants, with some Republicans advocating for stricter requirements to prevent abuses of the surveillance process. He discusses the challenges faced by Speaker Mike Johnson in navigating these divisions, and the threat posed by members like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are pushing for drastic measures that could jeopardize critical legislation. Shapiro emphasizes the importance of compromise and practical leadership in navigating the complexities of legislative decision-making. He highlights Johnson's efforts to strike a balance between competing interests within the Republican caucus and the need to prevent the expiration of vital legislation like FISA. He underscores the role of the Speaker in cobbling together the best possible deal in the current political landscape, even in the face of internal party strife and ideological differences.